Someone insults you in front of everyone. Your first instinct is to defend yourself, to explain, to prove them wrong. But imagine doing something completely unexpected. You simply look at them, smile slightly, and continue with what you were doing. No argument, no justification, no emotional reaction. Hours later, they're still thinking about you. You're already thinking about something else. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about understanding one of the oldest principles of power. The person who controls the emotional temperature controls the interaction. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that people often destroy their own influence, not because they lack intelligence, but because they react too quickly. They reveal their emotions before they understand the game being played. Today, we're exploring 7 psychological strategies inspired by Machiavelli's ideas and supported by modern behavioral psychology. These aren't tricks for manipulating innocent people. They're tools for protecting yourself from unnecessary conflict, emotional manipulation, and people who feed on reactions. Because in today's world, attention is currency, emotion is leverage, and silence is often misunderstood as weakness, when it's actually one of the strongest positions you can take. 1. Silence creates more questions than arguments. Most people believe winning an argument means having the last word. In reality, the last word rarely changes anyone's mind. What stays with people is uncertainty. Human beings are uncomfortable with unanswered questions. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, our tendency to remember unfinished situations better than completed ones. When someone insults you expecting a fight, your silence creates an unfinished story in their mind. Instead of walking away satisfied, they begin asking themselves questions. Did I go too far? Why didn't they react? Do they know something I don't? Your silence forces them to continue the conversation inside their own head. Imagine a meeting at work. A coworker sarcastically says, "I guess someone forgot to prepare." Everyone looks at you. Instead of immediately defending yourself, you calmly continue presenting your work without acknowledging the remark. 5 minutes later, everyone has forgotten the sarcastic comment because your professionalism redirected the room's attention. Had you argued, the meeting would have become about conflict instead of your presentation. Silence isn't passive, it's strategic. 2. Never explain yourself to people who already made their decision. One of the biggest mistakes intelligent people make is believing every disagreement is caused by misunderstanding. Sometimes, people understand perfectly. They simply don't want to agree. Once someone has emotionally decided you're wrong, every explanation becomes new material for debate. Think about social media. Have you ever seen someone write a 5-paragraph explanation to defend themselves? What usually happens? People don't suddenly become convinced. Instead, critics search every sentence for another weakness. The explanation becomes ammunition. Machiavelli understood that explanations often lower perceived authority. Leaders don't explain every decision. They make decisions. A business owner increases prices after years of keeping them low. One customer becomes angry. The owner writes a 2-page explanation detailing inflation, expenses, salaries, and overhead. Instead of calming customers, the explanation invites arguments over every detail. Another business simply announces, "Beginning next month, our prices will be adjusted to continue providing the quality and service our customers expect." Short, respectful, final, confidence often requires fewer words. 3. Emotional bait. Only works if you bite. Manipulators rarely begin with direct attacks. They provoke. They interrupt. They mock. They exaggerate. They're not trying to prove a point. They're trying to create an emotional reaction. Because the moment you're angry, your judgment weakens, your self-control decreases, your decisions become predictable. Think of emotional bait like a fisherman lowering a hook into the water. The insult isn't the hook. Your reaction is. Once emotions take over, you've surrendered control. Imagine driving home. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You honk. They slow down even more. Now you're both angry. Neither of you arrives home happier. The other driver controlled your emotions for the next 20 minutes. Now imagine simply slowing down and continuing your drive. The incident ends immediately. Sometimes ignoring a provocation isn't losing. It's refusing to play a game designed for you to lose. 4. Your attention is valuable. Don't spend it everywhere. One of the rarest resources today isn't money. It's focused attention. Every notification, Every argument, every unnecessary conversation competes for it. People who constantly explain themselves teach others that they can demand unlimited access to their time and emotions. Powerful people don't ignore everyone. They become selective about what deserves their attention. Machiavelli believed that scarcity increases perceived value. That principle applies to attention too. The less available your emotional energy becomes, the more carefully others use it. Imagine someone who replies instantly to every message, every complaint, every criticism online. They're constantly exhausted. Now imagine another person who responds thoughtfully only when necessary. Their words carry more weight because they're not diluted by endless reactions. Your attention should be invested, not scattered. 5. Let people underestimate you. Most people desperately want recognition before they've earned results. They announce every goal, every business idea, every future success. But public declarations create expectations. Expectations attract criticism, and criticism drains momentum. Machiavelli repeatedly warned against displaying all your strength before the right moment. There's an old saying, work in silence, let success make the noise. It's popular because it's true. Two entrepreneurs launch businesses. The first posts daily. Big announcement coming. Changing the industry. $1 million company loading. The second says almost nothing. Months later, the second quietly signs major clients while the first is still talking. Results speak louder than promises. People are often surprised by quiet success because they never saw it coming. Being underestimated creates room to grow without constant interference. 6. Emotional detachment is freedom, not coldness. Many people confuse emotional detachment with lacking empathy. They're completely different. Emotional detachment means you stop allowing other people's behavior to determine your internal state. Someone compliments you. You appreciate it. Someone criticizes you. You evaluate whether it's useful. Neither one controls your identity. Imagine living like this. No longer ruined by one rude email. No longer celebrating because strangers approve of you online. No longer devastated because someone misunderstood your intentions. That's emotional independence. A manager receives 2 emails. The first praises their leadership. The second harshly criticizes a recent decision. An emotionally reactive manager swings between confidence and insecurity. An emotionally grounded manager asks one question: is there anything useful here? If yes, they improve. If not, they move on. They refuse to let opinions become emotional commands. That's real confidence. 7. Become difficult to read. The easiest people to manipulate are predictable. If someone knows exactly what triggers you, they can trigger you whenever they want. If they know praise makes you overconfident, they'll flatter you. If criticism makes you defensive, they'll criticize you. Your emotional predictability becomes a map others can follow. Machiavelli understood that uncertainty creates caution. When people can't easily predict your reactions, they become more careful. Notice how skilled negotiators rarely reveal excitement too early. Professional poker players hide emotion. Experienced diplomats choose their words carefully. They're not emotionless. They're disciplined. Imagine negotiating your salary. The employer offers a number. You immediately smile and say, "That's exactly what I wanted." You've revealed your position. Now imagine simply saying, "Thank you. Let me think about that." Nothing dishonest. Nothing manipulative. You've simply avoided revealing your emotions too early. The less predictable you become, the more thoughtfully others must engage with you. Conclusion. 9:30. End. Here's what people often misunderstand about Machiavelli. His philosophy wasn't simply about gaining power over others. It was about understanding how human nature works, so you don't become controlled by it. The greatest victory isn't making someone else emotional. It's remaining calm when everyone else loses control. So the next time someone provokes you, ask yourself one question. Are they looking for a solution, or are they looking for a reaction? If it's a reaction, don't give them one. Not because you're weak, because you've recognized the game. Remember these 7 principles. 1. Silence creates psychological pressure. 2. Don't explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. 3. Refuse emotional bait. 4. Protect your attention like it's your most valuable asset. 5. Let your results speak louder than your promises. 6. Practice emotional independence. 7. Become calm enough that people can no longer predict your reactions. Because the people who appear the strongest aren't always the loudest. They're often the ones who know exactly when not to speak. Sometimes the most powerful sentence you will ever say is the one you never needed to say at all.